Greetings and welcome, I'm Ash, and these are my thoughts on the Doom Multiplayer Beta. After playing the Doom Multiplayer Beta for what feels like an eternity now, but is only actually a couple of hours, I've come to realize that it's not the worst game in existence as the Steam reviews might lead you to believe, but rather a deeply troubled one that is so desperately trying to please everyone it ends up pleasing no one. It's obviously catering to the old school FPS crowd with the small arenas and constant focus on action, but it's too slow and far too shallow to appeal to those players. It's also trying to win over the COD fans with the loadout system and constant trickle of mostly pointless upgrades, but the weapons are imbalanced and the mostly pointless upgrades are just that, mostly pointless. And finally, it tries to appeal to the Halo crowd, but the weapons and abilities are just not exciting enough to keep the player's interest for very long. So where exactly does Doom make its cardinal mistakes, and how could Bethesda and id go about fixing them? First of all, allow me to commend whoever decided to add 40 seconds of unskippable logos and warnings before the game actually starts. It might sound terrible on first glance, but those 40 seconds allow one to reflect upon the nature of the world, all rolled in the grand scheme of things, and what each of us can do to make this singular planet of ours a better place for all. My first suggestion, let people play the damn game. Silliness aside, I think pretty much everyone will agree that Doom 1 and 2 had a kick-ass soundtrack that got you instantly pumped and ready to take on legions of hell. Thankfully, the music in Doom 2016 is of the same caliber, with even the main menu theme being worthy of charging into battle with. The only problem is that when you're in the actual multiplayer match, the music either doesn't play at all or is so subtle that it might as well be non-existent. Instead of heavy metal blaring in the background as dozens of Marines double jump all over the place, all you get to hear is the occasional muffled rocket shot and the soft footsteps of your fellow Marines. The problem extends beyond the soundtrack itself, as it's almost impossible to tell when you're being shot at, given that rockets fired from a distance make about as much noise as a blow dart shot, and the expected boom of a shotgun being unloaded straight into your back is more akin to a pebble falling to the ground. You should never be able to fire 4 rockets at someone and still have them be oblivious to the potential threat behind them, even though the shooter obviously can't aim. Add to that an announcer that seems to be reading off his lines at gunpoint, and you've got yourself a shooter that's supposed to be upbeat and chaotic, yet is completely sterile. While I can deal with poor audio feedback by simply putting on some music and just role-playing as a deaf Marine, I can't get over the fact that most of the weapons feel pitiful, and this includes the rocket launcher. Since Doom 2016 implemented a loadout system most similar to the one found in the Call of Duty series, every single iconic weapon for the franchise has been nerfed to the point where it can be used as a starter and compete on equal grounds with all others. This sounds completely fair on paper, but in reality this means that a rocket launcher to the face is about as deadly as a couple of rifle shots or a swift melee hit or two, and that just isn't a weapon that feels good to use. Combine this with some heavy balance problems and you've got yourself a scenario where shooting rockets at people feels like throwing foam darts, shocking someone with a high voltage stick of doom is akin to tickling, and using a massive futuristic rifle to fill someone with lead is about as effective as punching them twice, and where the sniper rifle is the literal hand of God able to smite heathens with a mere thought. Balance is obviously the reason why the beta is even here, but it is still worrying that out of all the weapons available to players, there are about 4 of them that actually do any damage, and only 2 of them actually feel satisfying to use. The sniper rifle with its high-powered zap sound, and the plasma rifle with its continuous stream of pew 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 noises, though the actual impact and damage leave a lot to be desired. It is probably too late at this point, but I do believe the loadout system needs to go. It forces weapons to be generic and boring in order to stay balanced, and it just restricts the amount of unique pickups you can find around the arena, thus reducing the skill ceiling of the entire game. Besides demon runes, which don't really count in this, there is only one weapon you want to fight over, and that is the Gauss rifle. It is a monstrosity that is capable of vaporizing entire sections of the map, with its balancing factor being a clip that consists of measly 4 shots. But that is fine given how much of an impact you can make with it. The problem is, it's only one weapon, and since it has a fairly long respawn time, the only weapons you're going to be using is the ones you selected in your loadout. Every single match. To Doom's credit, however, there are some cool buffs you can fight over, things such as quad damage, speed buff, large armor packs, large health packs, and most importantly, demon runes that allow you to transform into a nigh unkillable bringer of the apocalypse. And after praising Doom for a couple of seconds, it's right back into the world of problems, this time centered around the fact that demon runes spawn in random places on the map and only give you 5 seconds of warning before becoming active and allowing anyone who touches them to instantly become the god of death. The end result of this system is that every so often a match is interrupted by one lucky guy getting the Revenant Demon and using its twin rocket launchers to blast a dozen or so people before finally either dying or running out of time, after which the match continues on as normal until the next rune spawns. Id had a nice idea with the demons dropping an enemy exclusive rune upon death in order to entice people to group up and hunt them down, but it's simply not fun to fight against something that instantly kills you while you're barely chipping away at its health unless you have the Gauss Rifle, in which case you insta-kill it. The same goes in reverse, as the best way of playing the demon is to let your allies sniff out the enemies, quickly blast them with a couple of rocket launcher shots and then retreat to safety in order to not lose your eye wind cannon. It is not the most exciting of prospects, I'll tell you this much. Adding to the pile of unnecessary changes are the hack modules, consumable items that you can use during your respawn screen in order to give your next couple of lives a small benefit. This can be the ability to see item respawn times, a constant highlight on the guy that killed you last, a tiny bit of extra armor, and so forth. While it's definitely a cool idea and one that I can get behind, the execution leaves a lot to be desired for. First of all, they are consumable and only obtainable as post-game rewards, so it's impossible to have the exact set of hack modules that you feel would personally provide you with a significant benefit. The second and biggest issue is the fact that you can only use them once you're dead in order to benefit your next life. Since I'm unfortunately not clairvoyant, every time I use a hack module it's a dice roll whether I will be able to benefit from its effects or not. For example, who cares about being able to see item respawn timers when you're on full health and know full well that the Gauss Rifle will not be coming back for the next few minutes? If I could use the hack modules in the middle of a match, perhaps after a short animation, I could envision them being an essential part of a team's strategy, but as it stands they are essentially pointless and the majority of players either ignore them or simply waste them, just cause. The one feature of Doom 2016 I have no complaints about is the customization system, which manages to offer you a decent amount of options right off the bat, with plenty of new and interesting ones to unlock as you progress through the arbitrary levels. You can choose what sort of base armor you want to use, mix and match pieces, color every single facet of your gear, use various sliders to produce a grittier or shinier look depending on your preference, and most importantly, equip silly taunts to annoy your enemies with. It's a simple addition, and it obviously doesn't affect gameplay, but it's always nice seeing a couple of armor pieces drop for you after a match. It gives you that little bit of a push to keep playing more and more in hopes of finally completing your medieval knight set and showing off your fancy new suit of armor to anyone that's willing to look for long enough before you shotgun him in the face. In short, it is a great idea and one that excites me greatly, so if the actual gameplay portion of Doom 2016 ever gets fixed up, I am going to play it. Doom was one of the first PC games I've ever played, so you bet I was excited when I heard that the open beta for Doom 2016 is finally live. I even scheduled my day in such a way that I would have 4 to 5 hours of uninterrupted playtime, but ended up doing less than an hour before deciding it's probably time to go clean up the house, or perhaps schedule an appointment with the dentist. While I can clearly see the potential behind it, and I mean Doom, not the dentist, especially when it comes to the single-player campaign, the sad truth is that Doom 2016's multiplayer tries to be so many things at once, it ends up being mediocre at every single aspect, and worst of all, just boring. I did not enjoy my time with it, and if I wasn't doing this video, I wouldn't have played it as much as I did, so be warned if you are aiming to grab Doom purely for its multiplayer elements. It might not be everything you hoped it would. Thank you guys for listening, and if you enjoyed this, or even if you didn't, please do let me know, and if you would like to see more, you can either subscribe here, or you can check out the website linked down below. That one tends to be updated a bit more frequently. With all of that said, I hope you guys have a nice day, and I will see you soon. See ya!